any contemporary non-Muslim sources who document the existence of hadith rejectors at the time of the earliest generations of Muslims?
Shafi'i.
Yeah, so Shafi'i, let's pull it up right now. This is from Imam Shafi'i's Jami', right? He says, I have not heard anyone, whether others counted him or him himself as learned, disagreeing that God Almighty and Exalted has made it obligatory to follow the command of God's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and to submit to his judgment. For God has not made it for anyone after him except to follow him. And no statement is binding in every circumstance except God's book or the Sunnah of God's Messenger, and whatever is besides them follows upon them. What is obligatory and required is to accept the reports of the messengers of God. This is the Basran Kalami Mu'tazili, like proto-Mu'tazili guy that Shafi'i is arguing with, right? He says, I said, God has indeed obligated for us to follow the messenger's command. He said, and he quotes the verse that I gave you, and then he said, it is clear in the revelation that it is an obligation upon us to take what we were commanded and to refrain from what God's messenger forbids us. Is that an obligation one and the same for us and those before us and after us? He said, yes. I said to him, I see you have returned to accepting the reports from the messenger of God with consensus beneath it as corroboration. He said, that is what is obligatory upon me. Yeah, so this proto-Mu'tazili, Basran, who's arguing with Ash-Shafi'i, very clearly reverted back to accepting the Quran and the hadith. And he wasn't a hadith rejector in the fullest sense. He only rejected single-strand hadiths. That's what he rejected. He didn't reject hadith as a concept, as a whole of legislation outside the Quran. So when you're quoting him and you're saying that he's, he's a hadith rejector, this is not correct. Can you explain to me why you think he's a hadith rejector?
Because the thing at the beginning which you didn't say, حكاية قول الطائفة التي ردت الأخبار كلها. So they rejected the whole narrations, الأخبار is the narrations, and it's كلها. So you're just sitting giving one example and I'm showing you there's an existence. Of course, the people that are enemies to what we stand on, they're going to sit and give you their point of view, which is wrong. It's the same thing that what we know the majority about the Mu'tazilites is because of what Sunnis wrote about Mu'tazilites. It's not the Mu'tazilites talking about themselves. It's very clear that the early onset of many Muslims, they rejected much of what's being circulated and they stuck to the Quran. So this is also corroborated by Umar, where he was sending somebody to Basra and saying to one of the cities, and he's saying, do not, you're going to a city where the Quran is like the buzzing of the bees. Do not sit and burden them with the narrations.
No worries. So when he says to him, I said to him, I see you have returned to accepting the report of the messenger of God with consensus beneath it. So, and he says that is what is obligatory upon me. So has he returned? Has he abandoned his ways of hadith rejection at this point?
Because the problem that was being presented is...
Just guess what, did he abandon his... So he used to be a hadith rejector, he argued with the Shafi'i.
In that story, he was taken out of ignorance and then he reverted back to idolatry.
Okay, so he's not a hadith rejector by the end of it, right?
Because he was taken back by what the guy said, which was incorrect.